Hello everyone, welcome back to Famous Unknown. France President Emmanuel Macron. What's up? What's up? Ha. Emmanuel Macron delivered a bold statement, and that message was for the continent of Africa. So the bold statement that he delivered was for Africa's future. Okay, so the French president has vowed that France will not abandon its former African colonies. That France will not abandon its former African colonies. Who are the colonies? Those French-speaking countries in Africa. As you can see, now they have like a Sahel, which involves Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. These three countries taking matters into their own hands. They told France, we don't need anything from you, so leave our country. And this didn't sit well with Emmanuel Macron. At first, he was like, if this is how you guys gonna play it out, then we're gonna take everything and leave. And they were like, fine, okay, leave. That wasn't the case. They need Africa. They need Africa. So now I quote what he said. If we leave Africa countries to manage on their own, now is not the time. Africa remains the least developed continent, and history shows we have a role to play in supporting its growth. A complete withdrawal could halt progress. There is still much work for us to do in Africa, and we believe they are not fully ready to thrive without our involvement. That's what Emmanuel Macron said, but that's a lie. Let's break it down. We need to change this thing around. The reason why I'm saying that's a lie. First, he said, if we leave African countries to manage on their own, now is not the time. Now lie. He meant to say if France, okay, leave African countries on their own, it's not the time because France is not ready. If they leave Africa, it's not the time because France is not ready. Okay? And he said, Africa remains the least developed continent, and history shows we have a role to play in supporting its growth. Okay? This is what he meant to say, that France remains the least developed country in Europe, and history shows we have a role, that Africa have a role to play in supporting France's growth. Again, I repeat, he said Africa remains the least developed continent, and history shows we have a role to play in supporting its growth. But that's a lie. Macron meant to say France remains the least developed country in Europe, and history shows Africa have a role to play in supporting its growth. Let me continue. A complete withdrawal could halt progress. That means a complete withdrawal from Africa will halt France's progress. He continued by saying, there is so much work for us to do in Africa, and we believe they are not fully ready to thrive without our involvement. This is what he meant to say. There is still much work for us, for Africans to do in France, and we believe we are not fully ready to thrive without the involvement of Africa. Yes, this is what he meant to say. But now it seems like Africa needs France. No, Africans don't need France. And this, I don't blame anybody. You know who is to be blamed? If Emmanuel Macron want to blame somebody, he should go and blame Mr. President Donald Trump. Yes, Emmanuel Macron, please go and blame President Donald Trump. Why am I saying this? You all remember 2018, 7 years ago, Donald Trump made a bold statement by calling Africa a shithole. Now you remember, right? When this guy called Africa a shithole, the whole internet Every African was pissed off. Everybody. They were mad. A lot of people with comments here and there. The whole internet was a chaos. Everybody was talking about it. African leaders, presidents, citizens, everybody was mad at Donald Trump. Everybody was pissed off. And there was a reaction. A lot of people reacted to it. Here are some of the reactions back in 7 years ago.
Honestly, so shocked. Shit countries, like, has he ever been to this country to call it a shit country?
For him to say that we're a shithole country is an abuse to all of us.
Has he seen the achievements that Africans have done in his country?
They get more from Africa because even right in their states, we have a lot of immigrants who work for them, because even in their own country, they don't even work.
It's not unexpected from somebody of his nature, owing to the fact that we already know his kind of person.
We are developing at our own level. We can't compare ourselves to them who've been independent for 200 years, and so
all we've got to do as Africans is just to step up our games.
As you can see, everybody was mad. Then that was a wake-up call for Africa. That statement that Africa is a shithole was a wake-up call for Africa. So Africans were like, you know what? As Kwame Nkrumah once said, black man is capable of managing his own affairs. You guys remember that powerful statement? Remember that powerful statement that he delivered when Ghana had independence? Yes. So now Africans, they are now taking that in. They are now taking that powerful speech in. And they have decided to develop Africa themselves. So like I said, that was a wake-up call. So now Africans be like, you know what? We don't need these Western countries. They're looting. They're taking everything from us. They're stealing from us. They come to take our own raw materials, our resources. They will take it away and give us peanuts. They will take the oil and bring it to wherever to refine it. They will take our gold and bring it to wherever to refine it. And we are not getting any. Our country is not being developed. But yet, they're calling us a shithole. Now, we are awake and we say, you know what? No more. We can manage our own affairs. We don't need you. Let us manage our own affairs. They don't understand. They'll be like, no, that won't work. We need to be there. Be there for what? We don't need your money. We don't need anything. What's your problem? Everything could have been fine, but Donald Trump made that powerful statement, and now we want to manage our own thing. France is saying no. President Emmanuel Macron, please, Africans are not afraid of you anymore. You used Africans to build your country. Go to France. See how many people, how many Africans are there. A lot of Africans. Another perfect example. Check the World Cup. Look at France's players. The 11 players on the field, they're all Africans. African players. When there's an Olympics, go check. France need Africa. When it comes to sports, Africa. They love developing your country, Africa. Everything is Africa. So now, who needs who? Who needs who? Without the African players, you think France will even make it to World Cup? No. So who needs who? This is just even one example that I'm giving you guys. So it's not sitting well with Emmanuel Macron. That's why he's making this statement. But let me tell you something. Africa is ready. All the African countries should come together. You give her this, we give you that. If not, it's going to be a bloody war. Point blank, it is what it is. All African countries are coming together now. Soon, we're going to have United States of Africa. Whether you like it or not, it's going to happen. Africa should start even open up the borders. Allow other Africans to come in there. We're all going to train together. This time, we're fighting for ourselves. If you agree, leave a comment. If you're not agreeing with what I said, also leave a comment. Let me know your opinion, okay? And if you haven't subscribed to Famous Unknown, please do so and become part of the Famous family. And until we meet again, I'm your host, Shaolin, the Kasa Harrises. I'm out.